I'm Jing Han. I'm a PhD student from Washington University in St. Louis. Today, I'm very happy to present my recent work on location spoofing attacks on autonomous fleet. So self-driving can bring us a lot of personal benefit in terms of personal freedom, saving money, and safety. More importantly, self-driving will significantly benefit us in a community level. So once the technique of the self-driving is there, most likely the autonomous driving cars gonna service us in a ride-hauling way, in the same spirit with Uber or Lyft. For example, we wake up in the morning and then we request for a self-driving car, and then the car picks up us and then sends us to our destination. And then in the future, once this technique is cheaper than owning our personal cars, then actually what's gonna happen is that most of the people will choose to use self-driving ride-sharing service as their daily communication tool instead of just driving by themselves. And at that point, in a city level, for example, maybe more than 80% of the cars will be self-driving cars that is running by one or two self-driving companies. And then the good thing there is that once we scale up, then we can actually due to the fact the self-driving companies know all the information of every vehicle's location in the fleet, as well as the time and location of the request. Then the optimization of the transportation will happen in a community level. Therefore, at that time, as a city as a whole, we actually need significantly less cars in total. As a result, we're gonna save us a lot of parking space, as well as the traffic jam will be significantly reduced. However, even though we know self-driving can give us a lot of convenience, in its current form, self-driving car is not safe. They can make naturally mistakes as showing in the images in the slide. More importantly, we wanted to ask that if self-driving cars vulnerable to malicious attack, namely that can we actually make self-driving car make mistakes intentionally by crafting some malicious attack? Really, if the answer is yes, as we know, the next step is that we wanted to develop some defense to defend against this type of attacks, namely make the self-driving car more robust. However, in today's talk, I'm gonna discuss this problem from the attacker's perspective. And before we trying to show how to attack a car, let's very briefly to talk about how does a self-driving car work. A car essentially attached with a bunch of sensors, camera, LiDAR, and some localization devices as well, and then it driving in the environment. The sensor perceive the environment and send those perception real-time data to the self-driving model, and then the model will output some control command, for example, steering and throttle. And then there are many ways to attack this system. So one of the very successful attack has been shown is to the perception module is very vulnerable to the some physically realizable attack. One of the famous example is the malicious stickers on the road signs. Also in today's talks, we also have seen some attacks that is very successful to attack the perception model and then applied for the road signs. So in today's talk, I'm gonna focus on to ask the question, is self-driving's localization system also vulnerable to malicious attacks, especially the localization that is rely on the GPS signals? As I mentioned early in the talk, really in the future, the self-driving gonna service us in the form of ride sharing. And then for now, the ride sharing system significantly rely on the GPS signals to get their current location. And then without attack, that works very well. However, like the GPS signal is actually not robust to attacks. That as the attacker, we can put a spoofer, GPS spoofer physically near a victim car, and then craft some malicious like noise signals, and then make the victim vehicle think that they are currently in another place that is very different from their current actual place. There is some prior work, conducted some physically attacks and realized that in New York City, and then they come up with a very cheap, only costs like $200, and then portable GPS spoofer, and then put that in a car that is driven by an attacker. And then they empirically showing that this attack is very, very successful. Like they're able to significantly manipulate the vehicle to drive to another route just by change their perception model like slightly. And for our work, we scale up this idea to the multi-agent system. This is the motivation. It is kind of the thing I mentioned at the beginning is that if in the future, self-driving gonna work as a fleet and benefit for the whole community, we wanted to know is that can we use only very few GPS spoofers significantly decrease the quality of the ride sharing service? So the idea is kind of illustrate in this image is that without any spoofers, the fleet works fine, and then they're gonna follow the direction which is marked as the blue arrow. However, if we place a spoofer, which is marked as the red dot, and then near a victim car, what's gonna happen is that they're gonna perceive themselves in the pink dot. And then they tell the routing center, okay, this is my current location. And then the routing center, based off their destination, gonna give them a wrong direction, which is totally the opposite direction of where they should go. So to formalize this problem, we propose two types of attacks for different attacking objective. One of the attack we call a delay attack. So namely, constraining by the fact that we have to, as the attacker, we have to make sure that the victim car can actually reach the destination. But the objective is to maximizing the travel time, which is why we call it delay attack. Another type of attack we call a service failure attack. Namely that we want to use GPS spoofers to have the vehicle fail to pick up a passenger or drop off the passenger to the wrong destination. So this is the whole pipeline of our proposed method. So the input will be a screenshot of the traffic network, and then you send that the current location of the fleet as well as the service you want to service to, and then you send those information to the attacker model, and then the attacker gonna use the models we propose, which we are gonna address in next 2 slides, and then they're gonna send those. Okay, so we want to place a spoofer in some selected location, as well as we want to craft that some designed malicious signals. Therefore, that a victim car gonna think they are in a targeted percept ghost location, and then they're gonna send that to the routing center, and then just messed up the whole fleet. So, okay. So, and we also have different settings. One is one-shot attack, where the spoofer cannot be changed. And then to address this problem, that we come up with some integer linear programming formulas and then solve the problem. But due to the time limitation, I'm going to skip details. So the another setting is where the spoofers can dynamically change. You can think about the spoofers can be placed in a car that is driven by attackers or like attached to some drones. And for that setting, we come up with a reinforcement learning agent to address the problem, to give the attacker where you should place the spoofer as well as what is the effect should be. And then we conduct like empirical result with the geolocation in New York, Manhattan, which and we got the geolocation information from like OpenStreetView and then use a Uber Move for the traffic flow. And we found that it's actually this type of attack only with like very few limit budget of spoofers, we are able to significantly decrease the quality of the ride sharing. Like one of the example in this slide is that, for example, for the delay attack, with few spoofers, we can kind of like delay the car like more than 2 times. So yeah, due to the time limitation, I'm gonna leave this empirical result as a conclusion. So for more details, like I'm very happy to discuss more technical details during the coffee break.